Good morning, good evening, wherever you are across the nation and around the world. We are back to bring you more Beyond the Veil. This week, we're talking about Roswell.
As the mysterious object crashed, the military reported it as a flying saucer. But within hours, officials changed the story, claiming it was a weather balloon. Witnesses came forward describing strange debris and alien bodies at the crash site. An officer from the investigation even claimed the debris was extraterrestrial. Finally, the Air Force released a report, claiming the UFO was actually a top-secret spy balloon. But for many, this only deepened the mystery. As the mysterious object...
Okay. And that is the gist of what everybody pretty much knows about Roswell. An alleged crash. The military admitted it. It read out in the headlines. Everybody was like, oh, this is amazing. We have aliens. And then they're like, nope, sorry, just a weather balloon. Nothing to see here, folks. And a lot of people's lives got ruined. And some people even lost their life because they knew the truth. So today we do a deep dive on Roswell to find out what is the truth, what did happen, and is it still something that's relevant to us today? We're going to start with Missy, but before we do, I just have to share. There's this young man named James that I just found on Facebook, or excuse me, YouTube within the past 2 weeks, who literally video recorded a very strange metal tube crashing into the desert where he was camping out. He dug it out of the sand. He took it home. It has these cool alien symbols on the ends of it. And I kid you not, when I was doing my research for Roswell, I came across pieces of the craft that were retrieved because there was the crash site, and then there was also like a blast site from where pieces blew over to another field. Some of these pieces look exactly like that tube that this young man has. The only difference is that the symbols are on the tube itself in pictures from Roswell, and on his, they're around the edges. I think there's a connection. I think they're the same type of beings that crashed in Roswell that own this tube. So I just want to add that, and I will add the link to James's channel in the description box below.
If I may add a little something to that as well, after you showed me that, I seen another object that was found that looked almost like it had been put together to look like a small saucer. And they were just talking about how all these pieces may or may not go together to activate them. Like this piece was thrown in the water and it started, jamming in the water or something like that. I'll have to find more information on that. I didn't really buy it completely.
Okay, but that is an interesting prospect.
Like Voltron,
Yeah. Or like the crystal skulls.
Yeah, there
Right?
you go. Yep.
How all the crystal skulls need to come together.
Right. It can't be
And there's
that
like what?
simple.
Still
Yeah.
still one more to be found?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
It is. And it had the symbols on there.
Yeah, and they're the coolest symbols. They remind me, they seem so familiar, but they're not anything I can find. They're not runes. They're not Egyptian. They're not Chinese. But they seem so familiar.
Maybe
They're
it's
very
what a language is developed into.
could be like it was the origin language.
Yeah.
Could be.
And it's just as it got older, it just changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could it have
that's a
been
very
like
real.
light language? Like,
It
oh,
might
this
be.
is kind of new to me.
See,
Mhm.
that's what I'm thinking. It might be some type of light language.
Okay.
Yeah, because I
Cool.
do feel like um, even with the bugosphere, the symbolism on the bugosphere, immediately, like my intuition said that those symbols are a light language to wake people up,
Okay.
to help them remember who they are. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Miss, what you got?
Okay. So I've noticed that when I meditate, I seem to meditate towards the actual people, creatures, or whatever. I don't like actually see the incident or anything like that, but I feel what they felt or they talk to me. It's really weird. But I was told that they can manipulate and influence thoughts. They like walk through dreams. Like some of them can walk through your dreams. And then they like make you think about things so that when you wake up, you remember that and you kind of like go with that.
Hmm.
I like that. They're dream walkers.
They can create their own force fields, and they do come from the water. They've been here for a long time. And then the very last thing that I got was they can even heal real serious wounds. They can bring you back from the dead, but when they do, they have to be very selective because they can only do it for a little bit, and then it takes their life.
Hmm.
So
See, that's interesting to me. I'm going to interrupt you there
you're fine.
because Edgar Casey, the sleeping prophet, I always keep in the back of my mind, being an energy healer, what Thoth told him about don't do this for prolonged amounts of time because it will deplete your own life energy, your own chi. And he didn't listen to that, and he did thousands of healings and sessions a week, and it killed him. Everybody around him feels like that's what took his life. So that's interesting that they would have that same deal there. That's interesting.
Hmm.
And then the only other thing was I got one more thing was that the person that I'm getting the information from was actually a survivor of that crash. That they're still here.
So a being.
A being, yes.
Hmm.
That
Hmm,
and then in my own thoughts,
I like that.
I kind of thought maybe the rancher that found them was the one who helped take care of them until they were able to get on their own feet.
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
Sort of nurse them back to health
Yeah.
till they regain their own
That's
strength.
just my feeling on that. They didn't tell me that, but that's what I felt. But all that other stuff, I felt like it was coming from that person, from that being.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
I got that there was one survivor as well in my meditation, and
Really,
everything else, yeah, there was one.
that's
Interesting.
cool.
And in my research, in the videos that I watched, one of them, it was called the Roswell cover up 75 years later. And it was fascinating. And they did say that there was one that was still alive, but nobody said what happened to it.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, allegedly there was one that was living, and 3 others that were deceased.
Yeah.
But
I think it's interesting.
in my meditation, I actually got that all of their craft holds 7 passengers. So there were 3 that got away,
Oh my God.
Melissa,
that
Wow.
you said
nobody knew about.
Melissa, you said that this one survivor is still alive today, is
Yes,
what you're,
it's still
that's
here
very
today.
interesting. I didn't get that. I just assumed it was, one that survived for a little bit anyway. The one they called Evie, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually got in mind that they lived for hundreds of years. So
Right.
that makes sense what Missy says, that it would still be alive, because I did get that they lived for hundreds of years and that they offered that to us too. our
Right,
Well,
right.
government.
didn't we originally, like
Yes.
in biblical times, lived
Hmm.
hundreds and hundreds of years, but we all this poison every which way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah. They I'll go into that just a little bit. I was shown that our government was offered the tools and the technology to end disease, cure any type of disease that we currently um, have free energy for everyone, and true spirituality, the truth of spirituality, which Jesus is in their truth, but not the way that the Bible says, which is the same message that I've always felt like was the truth. So confirmation for me there that I am correct in feeling like that was what I was told. Um, but the spirituality is the key to the longevity, because you need to know the sound resonance. You need to understand how to keep your body and your spirit in a certain vibrational pattern in order to live longer, which also makes sense to me because
Yeah,
sound can heal.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mike, what else did you get for yours?
Well, I did a one car tarot card pool on it. Usually I do a past, present, future. Once again, I went to my custom deck that I created myself, and I got the Hangman. I didn't like how the Hangman was originally done, the way it's typically done. So I used a pinata with a couple of kids hitting hitting the hanged item.
I
But
like it.
she kind of triggered Melissa triggered me there a little bit with the whole sacrifice, because that is part of the hangman attribution to the card. Is that's one of the words is definitely a sacrifice. And I'm not quite sure. I had some issues. I had some issues with the whole thing in general, but my card pool was hard for me to decipher. But I started getting it as you were talking to me earlier, because when you read Hangman, you get wisdom, trials, discernment, sacrifice, intuition, divination, and prophecy.
Hmm.
So trials jumped out at me like the UFO Congress, where we're at now. And this is all tied. It's all tied together. It's all tied to Roswell. You ask everybody and their mother, and they know about Roswell. As a matter of fact,
Yep.
Roswell's so well known that it turns my stomach. It almost makes me like not want to talk about it,
It's
because
almost cringy. Yeah.
yeah, because a lot of people think that's where it all started, and I know for a fact, and you all know that, you know it, this has been happening way before. But there was
Thousands of
yeah,
years.
that was a
Yeah.
hot moment. That was definitely a hot
Yeah.
moment in time that really put them on the map. And I think it was a sacrifice. I think it was something that needed to happen. And I'm not saying that these aliens did this on purpose, but maybe if we understood spirituality and life after death, and who knows if these are biological, toasters. So you know how some people describe them as toasters, where they're
Yeah.
really advanced creatures, but they don't really have a soul. So when we see them die, of course we feel sorry for them, like one of our fellow humans has died. But maybe it's not the case with them. I don't know. It's a far-fetched thought on my part. But yeah. um did you want me to just go for it and tell you everything that I got from
Uh-huh.
this? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, this happened, actually, I thought the Cold War was a lot later, but it was actually during the
Same time.
yeah, it was during the Cold War. This was Roswell, 1947. The Army straight up said, "Hey, we got a flying disc." And then the Roswell newspaper was like, "Hey, we got a flying saucer." I think there was no turning back after that. They blew it. That was the truth. Right off the grill, right off the top. They had it.
Hmm.
They were going, like you said, it was like, "Oh, cool," right?
Hmm.
And wow, they boy, did they turn on that right away. And I noticed that it was in a ranch in New Mexico near Corona. which caught my attention because we all know corona means crown, which is the
Mhm.
activation, and I believe that this is where the human consciousness received the activation for all this. That's definitely was needed for where we are at right now. Just like the virus, we were talking about how corona is the activation, it's the crown. Once again, we got the word corona.
Yep.
So this happened in 47, but I did a remote view, which I always try to do, and I'm not always successful. And I don't know if it's because I've been a little sick under the weather lately, but I was able to get little blips, nothing that I could just sit down and go, wow, I'm in here for a minute or two. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that. I was just getting little pieces, and it was hard for me to focus. It was hard to concentrate. I even tried to sit in the bathtub, which is usually a slam dunk for me. If I sit down in the tub and let the hot water hit me, I can really, and I have to close. It has to be completely dark. I have to cover my eyes so I don't get any light. All of a sudden, I'm flying a plane. Okay. At first, I thought I was flying the UFO. And I was like, here I am. I'm flying a UFO. I'm the alien. And I looked down on my dashboard and it was old school instruments. And I'm like, okay, I'm not on the UFO. I'm a pilot. And I didn't see anything as a pilot. But after I did some research, I realized that, man, that wasn't the only UFO that was reported. You know what I mean? It was a
Mhm.
hot, hot moment. And, in ufology, we all know that July is a hot month in general anyway. I mean, that's when I
Yeah.
had my experience was back in July. 4th of July is always really, really hot too. But they were having, that June and July. Uh, what's the famous, there's a famous pilot. Um, what's his name? Kenneth Arnold. So he was the one that seen nine, which blew me away when you were talking about how you guys got a little pattern on your arm about nine, because
Mhm.
nine kept coming up for me. Kenneth Arnold back in June 24th, 1947. This was a little bit before Roswell incident. He had reported nine saucers that were flying past Mount Rainier. So, Melissa was talking about how she believes they come from the water. I believe a lot of them do come from the water. I also believe they like to come in and out of these mountains. There's something about these mountains, and Mount Rainier in particular. That's where it all kind of started, the Pacific Northwest, and then it just kind of gravitated, all the way across the nation. Um,
And there was like a UFO flap, what they call a flap happening in that time with Roswell. There was like a lot of UFO sightings.
Right, and from what I gather, once again, we're talking about nuclear testing. The kids have
Hmm.
found the matches in the backyard, and
Yep.
it's time to keep an eye on these damn kids again, because whatever we
Yep.
do here not only affects us, but it affects the entire cosmos. Or
Right.
they may be in the water, and it'll affect them just as much as it's going to affect us, right?
Right.
So,
Yes, it's definitely going to affect our planet. And I just want to interrupt you real quick to say that before Roswell happened, our military had tested the hydrogen bomb on Marshall Island, and it vaporized the island and left behind a 6,000 foot wide crater in the ocean floor. So if they're in the ocean, then they're like, oh shit, we got to go take the matches from the kids, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
They just fucked up our world.
But a
right.
Q post did say watch the water.
Watch the
Yep.
water. I
Yeah, I've
know.
been
I keep
watching the
thinking about
water
that
ever
too.
since. Everything that has something to do with water, I'm like, they said watch the water. Yep.
I know.
Well, they did say
Me
watch the
too.
water.
Me too.
Yeah.
And then I'm always thinking, this is the boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Um, so after I got out of the airplane, and I realized I wasn't in the UFO, I tried to force myself. I gave myself a target, and I was trying to make a target the ranch, and I wanted to see physically how the debris came down. And it wasn't a bunch of tiny little pieces. It was a full on object that was partially buried in my meditation. I was trying my darnest to do remote viewing, but I believe it was basically meditation. My remote viewing, I know, is a little different. Things come a little bit more clearer, and my meditation was a little darker. And what I seen was a black hand that came down from the sky and it picked up all the debris. And to me, that was the dark hand of the government. That was the black part of our government picking it all up. Kelly and I did a show not too long ago on Pounce projects. And we all know that the government has tons and tons of all these projects, and it's all just to find, hide, and misinform all these UFO experiences, encounters that people have. It seems like they have a project for you. It doesn't matter what kind of UFO experience it is. They got it, just like we got an app for it. They got a project for it.
Mm-hmm.
I found something really, really interesting. I mean, when they want to talk about the box kite and the foiled paper and the balsa wood, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. It sounds ridiculous.
I don't either.
Why would they initially say flying disc if we're talking about box kites, string, foil paper? It sounds like we're doing a elementary school art project.
Mm-hmm.
Psych. That's not
Right.
what happened.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so, that's why I always say people tell you about themselves in the beginning, right off the top. And they told the story right off the bat. They told the truth. They had found a disc and there was bodies. I would imagine that there was about 3 bodies. And like I said, I believe one of them survived. Um, Kenneth Arnold wasn't the only one that seen 9 UFOs. There was a couple of other pilots. There was an airline pilot that described seeing 9 saucers as well, and then there was another civilian lady. I didn't get her name. That there was a lot of pockets of 9 going on. But what I found really interesting was the tie of Albert Einstein. I don't know if any of y'all seen Albert's name in any of this, um, but
No, I didn't.
Dr. Shirley Wright, she was a physicist and a former assistant to Albert Einstein. She claimed that she accompanied Einstein to Roswell in 1947 to examine the wreckage of a crashed UFO and its alien occupants. According to Wright, they were invited by the government to witness both the debris and the bodies of the extraterrestrial beings, 5 to be exact. She described the beings as small with large heads, thin limbs, and black eyes. Wright also stated that one of the beings was still alive when they arrived, exhibiting signs of distress, but appearing to communicate in an unknown manner. Her testimony confirms that high level scientific minds, including Einstein himself, were consulted to assess the significance of the event. And it doesn't really mean much, but she was very young. She was 17 years old. And there's a large debate going on when you research that information about if that really happened or not. Just like you research anything, a lot of people were
Yeah.
trying to throw Albert Einstein on the bus saying, oh yeah, he liked to hang out with, young ladies. And, he was single at this time. Albert Einstein was a single man. Um,
Right.
I just thought that was really interesting. If you have one of the brightest guys in the world, someone that actually had his hand in some of the technology behind the atom bomb, okay? He wasn't a big fan of war or the atom bomb itself. He wanted to kind of distance himself and actually be an
Right.
advocate. He was actually trying to be an advocate,
Mm-hmm.
against these things. But you can't hide the fact that if it wasn't because of his E equals, EM square, yeah, because of his work, a lot of this, just taking a little gram of something and being able to blow up a whole city like Hiroshima.
Yeah.
He couldn't help but to probably feel pretty guilty
Yeah.
for
He
being
was he was regretful.
right, just like in Terminator, right? Remember that one guy that
Mm-hmm.
they go to his office and they want to kill him, and it's like that poor guy. He didn't realize what his work was going to do to the world in the future. You know, he wasn't trying to
Mhm.
do that. You know, he's just trying to do his best to do his job. So I just think between the initial reaction of the army and the actual news media, newspapers, and bringing big words in like Einstein, this had to have happened. And I feel it in my gut, I feel it in my meditation, and I feel it in my little tiny remote views that I did, that this very well did happen. And this was not the beginning of their visitations. They've had their eye on us for a very long time.
Yeah,
But everybody's very familiar with this. And it was something that needed to happen. And it's actually got us to where we're at right now. And you know,
yeah.
there's symbols also that were found that were very similar to uh, not only what is that, Randleshine,
Rendlesham
Randlesham,
Forest.
and in Gettysburg,
Hmm.
the show that we did on Gettysburg. Those are
Yeah,
very,
Kecksburg.
very
Yeah.
similar uh, symbols. And I
Right.
believe that's all I have.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, in my research, I actually found that, um, well, first of all, there was an incident that happened 2 weeks before Roswell where a UFO blew apart, right, over the water, and I think it was was it Maury Island? Yeah, in Puget Sound, and a fisherman witnessed it. So this was already going on, and that actually happened during a lightning storm,
Ah,
which it seems like that was also the narrative for Roswell, is that there was a
right.
lightning storm.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, wait a minute. First of all, why are these UFOs crashing during
Mm-hmm.
lightning storms when we see them like kind of setting in lightning storms,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yep.
A lot of times. And the answer that I got was that when they're in motion, they're creating their own static field that
Uh,
makes them the path of least resistance for the lightning. But if they're sitting still, they can put their force field shield around them
uh-huh.
and protect from the lightning. So we're sitting here thinking that they're just like hanging out, absorbing lightning energy, but really all
Yeah.
they're doing is trying not to get knocked out of the sky.
Right. I
Right?
thought the same thing. I was like, you know, I'm always questioning if there's such a high advanced species, you know, UFOs, aliens, how would they let a lightning bolt knock them out of the air? You
I
know,
said the same thing.
because they also talked about, you know, how our radars, we use a different kind of radar. There's regular radar, and then there's big, like there's a really big radar that we use. And I'm like, I don't care
Yeah.
how big this radar is, you're not gonna, you know, knock a UFO out of the sky with your radar.
No.
But I think it's a double-edged sword when you're riding the wave of the electromagnetic atmosphere. You know, you're
Right.
using the atmosphere, the natural energies that are within our atmosphere. It's a double-edged sword sometimes,
Mhm.
you know. And like you said, that makes sense to me. Like, they're not always vulnerable. You know, when they're moving, they move fast, and they get from point A to point B in a blink. But sometimes
Well,
it can happen.
and that too was something that I've discovered in this, is that they're not actually moving so fast that they get from point A to point B
Right.
in the blink. It's biolocation,
Hmm.
because of thought, because the ship
Ah,
is running off
right.
a thought.
Yeah, that's
So they're
right.
actually going faster than the speed of light. They're going thought speed, and they can, just like Einstein's theory of relativity and string theory, you can fold space time
Yeah,
and get from point A to point B
right.
like
Make it
that,
safe. So
right?
that's safer. Yeah.
Yeah, and that would explain why on the radars they'll ping here and then they ping there and then they ping here and then they ping
Yeah.
there.
They call it
It's not
jumping.
that there's more than one of them and they're disappearing.
Hmm.
They're jumping.
They're
They're
jumping.
time
Yeah.
jumping.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're literally time jumping. And we also can do that through thought. We can make things happen with thought, right? And Einstein said himself, um, like with speed and stuff, things that are going quickly through motion, everything around it actually slows down, right? And if you're going
Yep.
slow, that everything around you speeds up.
Yep.
So they know how to manipulate that, to manipulate space-time, the space-time continuum, which is the fourth dimension, right?
Yep.
Because that's what the fourth dimension is. It's space and time. So basically they're like running their ship on 5D or higher thought technology.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the ship needs to be like a membrane or a brain, if you will, that connects with the pilots,
Yeah.
right? They're
Yep.
symbiotic with each other.
Yes.
They would have to be, so that, and that's why our guys, our military guys, that they would put in these crashed UFOs and try to get them to fly. That's why they couldn't get them to fly. And then with the MK Ultra projects and the remote viewing and stuff, they started figuring out, okay, we need psychics, and they literally started with twins, right? Put twins inside of the UFOs because they definitely have a psychic connection.
Right.
And that still wasn't working. It was ended up, it would a lot of times cause people to die because they didn't know how to control the ship. And then they started teaching the remote viewing with like Uri Geller and people like that, right? And got their military men up to speed to where they could use their mental thought ability to control the ship. And that's how they learned to fly them. And that is what we call in modern times psionics,
Ah, yes.
because we can call them in and we can control the ship with thought. So they use a fancy word called psionics for it, but it's a real thing. And that's pretty
Yep.
fucking cool, I think.
Yeah.
I also think there's a huge connection between the occupants of Roswell and what's going on currently with 3i Atlas and all the drones and everything else that's going on in our world modern day. I feel like there's a real connection there. And I actually found weird synchronistic connections in studying Roswell with Admiral Byrd all the way back in 1929, and then Kenneth Arnold, and then Valiant Thor in 1957, and what was happening on the other side, well, not the other side of the world, but in Italy at the same time, was the Friendship Group, also known as the W56 Group. So, and then we had the Billy Meyer stuff also going on in about the same era. And then we've got people like Missy with their Thor von Eckel stories, and then 10 to 20 years later, you've got people that are saying, I'm a starseed and, I'm here to help raise the vibration of the planet before these changes happen and blah, blah, blah. And every bit of it is connected to each other. It's not separate things. It's all connected, including Stan Romanek, including Chris Bledsoe, like all of these people that have been contacted, that have been experiencers, including people that are just, normal people that don't have any kind of fame or notoriety to what they're doing. We're all connected and part of this plan. And I believe, from what I was shown, that between 1947 and 1957, it was made very clear to the beings that are here to help, that want to see us grow spiritually and evolve, that our powers that be are not going to allow that, because they cared more about control and economics, the economy, and greed. And so they weren't willing to take the offers of clean energy and healing our diseases and ending death that could be prolonged, and we could live hundreds of years again, and spirituality and all that. They want the religions in place to control. They want the medical field the way it is for control. They want the media the way it is, the politics, everything, so they can continue with their new world order plan. And I was also very strongly shown that the reason they choose this route is because the reptilians had already contacted them and offered them weapons of mass destruction to continue on that path of war and control, because the reptilians didn't want the good beings, the beings of light, if you will, to change anything here. They want to continue to have dominance over this planet, and that's the whole real reason that the beings have been here from the get-go, is to help us, because essentially we're their children.
Exactly.
I think
And it's like the Roswell thing was like a collective shift in consciousness, just like all of these crazy things that happen.
Yeah.
Gets people to wake up.
Yes.
Necessity. It was a necessity for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, there's no money.
Jen- oh, sorry.
There's no money to be made in self-healing and free energy.
Exactly.
And we know that this is a consumer-based nation that operates from greed.
Mhm.
And until we learn how to operate from love, we're not going to be sustainable. This earth won't be
Right.
sustainable. Right.
Right.
Exactly. Jen, what did you get in yours? And then I'll finish.
Okay. So I watched a couple of videos and then I did a little meditation this morning. So my intuitive hits on the videos. The first one I watched was that one I shared in the chat, the bizarre UFO crash that was on BuzzFeed. And every time I heard them mention little bodies, I kept feeling children. Not to say there weren't ETs, but I feel like there's way more to this. Then I watched the History Channel Blue Book episodes. And when I watched those, one of the people said the word conspiracy theory, and that just CIA popped into my head, but that's really no surprise. When they were looking through the files, I heard the word redacted that was used on the show. And then I, thought puppet masters. As I watched the first episode, my gut was saying to me that something more sinister was going on, like maybe a cover up of a cover up, like using a crazy situation to cover up a sinister one with a stupid weather balloon. I wonder if the crash was created to cover up possibly underground genetic experiments. And let's see, they are so afraid of the truth coming out that they created Project Mogul and Project High Dive, but the truth will come out, and I feel like it's coming out soon.
Yeah. And I just want to interrupt you there to say that there's a very real possibility that there were underground programs like you're talking about that are literally underground, because they did fucked up experiments on people all the time. Just like they would create earthquakes with deep fracking to generate the light that's like ball lightning type of light that comes out of the ground, right, during an earthquake. And then they would do these fake alien invasion type things on people just to like see how they react in their psyche and stuff, like sick, twisted kind of things. For example, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, there was a whole creepy alien account there that was actually the government. They created that. I mean, they literally have a pentagram, pentagon memorandum that's called a planned UFO invasion, where they have done this several times throughout history. And there, I think even in the Roswell series that's on history, they told about the little boy that got taken, and everybody thought it was UFOs or something that did it, or skinwalkers or like a werewolf or some crazy shit. And all of that was literally CIA bullshit, is all it was. I mean, they did let the skinwalker out of some portal, right? They opened some portal with their crazy ass testing and stuff, but they just ran with it, right? They're just like, oh, fuck. And which made me think of CERN and how they do all kinds of crazy stuff at CERN. And I'm like, what kind of portals are they doing with that?
Exactly.
So, and it's like they're mad scientists, right? It's like they're totally mad scientists. And I mean, that makes sense to me, even because Werner von Braun was the freaking leader of the whole thing, right? The Majestic 12 and all of these black budget projects that they were doing. That was Werner von Braun, and he's fucking Nazi. We just said, hey, let's bring him over from World War II from Germany, and we'll just use his sick, twisted mind for our own sick, twisted benefits.
And I'm so glad you said the word mad scientist, because I was so freaking nervous about sharing the little bit I got in my meditation. But you bringing that up gives me the confidence to do so. So,
Okay.
yay. Okay. So, when I was doing the meditation, I saw those lights, those Foo Fighters, but coming from underground,
Mhm.
which could have been water. I didn't see them coming from up. I saw it like coming from that way. So it could have been
Mhm.
underwater. And then I see like a mad scientist type lab with all these surgical instruments. And then I saw what looked like Secret Service or even maybe like Men in Black type people, but something like that. And then I saw a table with a small body and then like doctor types standing around it with Secret Service, Men in Black type people. And that's pretty much all I got. But yeah.
Okay. And I like the part about you bringing up the children kept coming to mind with you. And I understand that you're also talking about that they did some weird experimentation things and stuff. And you're actually onto something there with that matches what I got as far as the CIA being involved with the MK Ultra stuff.
Okay.
Because they were using younger kids and teenagers for all of these mind control, different types of mind control experiments. And that included psychic abilities and stuff that they were doing on the children. But, there was a lot of really terrible ways torturous things they were doing to them. And in my meditation, I actually got that a faction of the Men in Black broke away from the CIA and the MK Ultra stuff because of that. And that they were actually the ones that would beat the CIA or the Air Force to the witnesses to tell them to keep their mouth shut, and that they were really doing it to try to protect the witnesses from getting their life ruined or getting physically harmed,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
Clinton's side,
Wow.
right? So I was shown that the Men in Black or part of them anyway, are actually in this trying to get to the truth and protect the civilians because they totally vehemently disagreed with the way that they were going about doing this. I was also shown that these Men in Black that broke away, the breakaway group, are the ones that created the GATE program that showed up in the schools. They
Holy
went
shit.
rogue and were trying to see for themselves just which one of the kids are the gifted ones. And they had a very strong reason for that. They felt like they were the conduit between the star children and the alien beings because they knew how to call them
Wow.
in. And so they sort of felt like guardians or custodians, if you will, which is interesting to me because that word was used many times with one of my guides, that they're the
Okay.
curators and the custodians. And so when I heard that in my meditation, that they were like the custodians of the star children to help them enhance their psychic abilities and sort of protect them and keep them safe, that made a lot of sense to me,
Yeah.
particularly with my own situation and being involved in the GATE program. So
Right.
I was like, oh my God. So for me personally, it fit together a lot of pieces that some other time I'll share with everybody.
Did you
Um,
know that Dolores Cannon's got a book called The Custodians?
no.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Was she
don't own
really?
it. I
Wow.
haven't read it. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I got to write this
Pretty
down.
sure. Yeah. I'm like 95% sure.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look into that.
Yeah, girl.
That's very interesting. Um, but yeah, a lot of these times that we see the UFO cases where the child goes missing and never comes back, that's some CIA kind of bullshit is what I was shown. That's not really aliens taking the kids and never bringing them back.
Hmm.
Oh, wow. Look at that. I'm totally going to have to buy that book. Dude, I've
Me
got
too.
like 12 books in my Amazon shopping cart right now because, side note, all of what we were doing led me to Valiant Thor and his 3 people that he came with. And I didn't even know that he came with 3 people. I thought it was just him. So I learned a lot there just in that. But it led me this guy named Frank Stranges that actually wrote the book called A Stranger at the Pentagon. And that's not the only book that he wrote. He wrote like 20 other books, and all of them are about his time with Valiant Thor. And he spent like 6 or 7 years in communication with Valiant Thor. So, like, all of those books are in my freaking Amazon cart. I have to know everything now. Like, I got
I
to know all
agree.
of it. But,
Absolutely.
you were done with yours?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I was shown the obelisks. You know how we have an obelisk in Washington? The obelisks are a communication with the aliens. They're like an antenna. You can call them and you can also receive information from them if you have the right. There's some kind of a tool that you can touch or put in the obelisk or something, almost like a key, and like symbols will show up for a communication method. So I'm not sure how that works, but maybe that's the point of obelisk all over the world, because I was shown that there's like this network, this grid where they have bases and different forms of ways to communicate, not just through implants with people, but like literal communication devices that have been planted around the world so that they always know what's going on and they can always be in communication with each other when they're here and with starseeds.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was very interesting to me.
Didn't a bunch of
Um,
obelisks pop up in 2020 all over the world? Okay. Thought so.
yes.
Odd.
And ironically, they're all like this black onyx or black, what is that word? Help me, Mike. Basalt?
Oh yeah, or
They're like a
obsidian.
basalt or obsidian, and both are
Obsidian.
very electromagnetic in
Right.
property. They're
Yeah.
very special, very powerful. So yeah, that's a good point because I didn't even think about that. So yeah, I was shown that there's a connection with everything that's happening now with Three Eye Atlas and the star seeds that goes all the way back to the beings from the Roswell crash, and that they weren't actually, this is what I was getting to with the little children thing. They're not the typical grays that everybody tries to tell us that they were, that they looked almost as human as we do, just smaller, like children. And this is a literal statement when people would say they looked like children, but they weren't, because they were only like 3 feet tall. They look like us, but very young. And, you know, their head was a little bit bigger and their eyes were a little bigger. And so when I was shown that, I actually thought about Stan Romanek. Me and Mike just did a show about him and his hybrid children that he actually took photographs of. And they look a lot like what I was being shown that the beings in the crashed craft at Roswell look like, except with no hair, right? Very high, like a very high eyebrow bone, whatever
Okay.
you call that,
Yeah.
and larger eyes and a little bit bigger head, but very human features. I mean, their nose, their mouth, their ears were all smaller than ours, but they were all still there anyway. So I was shown that they were a type of, I don't want to say Pleiadian, but working with Pleiadians. Like they're all here for the same cause, I guess,
Yeah.
is
The
how to say it.
ascension.
Right. I was also shown that during the Roswell and before and after, there were a lot of different weird blackouts and people blowing light bulbs. If they touched their light bulb, it would blow and they didn't know why. And that type of thing actually still happens. And I'm one of those people. I'm guilty. I can't drive underneath of a street light without it going out on certain occasions. And I don't know what the difference is between when it does and when it doesn't. I mess up electronics really bad. But I was shown that that actually is because of being in connection with the UFOs and their occupants. That not only the UFOs can render a car to not work or cause a blackout, but that the people that are experiencers can too, that it's all connected, and it's because of a bloodline thing. I guess basically you could say the experiencers are the hybrids that we don't even think about, right? Because when we think about a hybrid, we're thinking you look totally different from us.
Right.
But I was actually shown that there's two different kinds of hybrids. There's soul hybrids and there's physical hybrids. So abductees, experiencers that look very much like a human being on Earth are a soul hybrid. So that's like a starseed or a volunteer. And
Okay.
then there's physical hybrids like Stan Romanek's daughters, right? So that was a very cool thing for me to learn about, because I never knew what was it in me that would make the streetlights go out sometimes and other times they're perfectly fine. But it's got to have something to do with recent contact, from what I'm understanding.
Yep. Our us experiencers are
More
loaded.
charged.
We are loaded. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not loaded, but we're loaded with a bunch of goodies,
Yeah, we are.
within our basal ganglia, we have what they call the antenna as well. So, we don't need an obelisk, or anything like that. We have an antenna built
We
into
are
our
the
basal
obelisk.
ganglia.
Yeah.
We are the obelisk.
Yeah.
And scientists want to tell you, that we only use a certain percent of our brain. And,
Mm-hmm.
so what is that? That programs you to think you're just not all that,
Right.
there's a bunch of white looking matter that's surrounding our basal ganglia and parts of our brain that they want to just tell you it's just white matter, when in actuality it's white hot, especially
That's right.
amongst experiencers. And when I learned that, I don't like to hear how special I am. I think we just got done talking about this not too long ago, you and I, Kelly.
We did. We
Um,
did.
but that's just my way of trying to be humble and not be like, yeah, we're special, because I believe we're all born with these powers. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of using them or losing them,
Yeah.
But
And being an experiencer, we can enhance them
right.
faster than other people.
Yep.
Yeah. 100%. And yeah, I mean, like my brother and I, we used to take, my ex-husband is an electrician, so he has all of these little gadgets that, with the little probes, I don't know what they're called, the check electric stuff, right? The
Oh
voltages
yeah.
and whatever.
Uh-huh.
Voltmeter maybe is what it's
Yep.
called.
Uh-huh.
But I would
Yep.
hold each one of the prongs in my fingers, and he's like, it's not going to work. That's not going to register a person. And the damn thing would move. I mean,
Oh,
it
Oh
would like,
wow.
and he'd be like, holy shit. Like, how can you do that? And I'm like, because I'm supercharged. I'm supercharged.
I told
That's
you
how
you're
I can do
electric.
it. I'm electric. Yeah. So I think that's kind of cool. And I recommend
yeah.
anybody trying that, whenever you're in that mode where you're messing up the VCR or the DVR or the
Or your
TV
phone.
or your phone or whatever. Like, go get a voltmeter and hold it in your fingertips and
Yeah.
see if
Oh,
it changes
wow.
it.
Yeah. See
Yeah.
if
That's
I'm
so cool.
AC or DC. Look, Jennifer,
Right?
AC DC. She's got the
ACDC.
alternating.
I know.
You're
She's got
wearing
the
the current.
alternating current. Yep.
Yeah.
Direct current. That's what it's all about. That's what's up.
Right on. Okay, so I had questions when I was doing mine. I wanted to know, why did Roswell happen? And I wanted to know, are they really in the water, or is this some kind of portal? Because like you said, Mike, they also really are fond of mountains, right?
Right.
And a lot of times we see them come from the sky. So what I picked up on it was that it's both. that there are bases. Some are in mountains, some are in oceans, but we have these portals also all over our planet that can open up. And as long as you know the coordinates to that portal, you can open it at will. And that doesn't matter if it's underwater or in a mountain or in the wall of your house, because your house is built over top of the portal energy center or whatever, right? So it's both. It can be a portal or it can be a base. I also kept hearing Ivy, Ivy, Ivy. And I'm like, what the crap does Ivy have to do with anything? Right. And at first I thought maybe it was like a person's name, but I couldn't find anything of any kind of witness named Ivy. So then I decided to put in the word project. Didn't get anything. So I put in the word operation. Operation Ivy was a real thing that was put together by the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission, officially in 1952, but they were testing it in 1946. Roswell happened in 1947. And this is actually how I learned about the island that they vaporized on Marshall Island, that they vaporized, because that's what Operation Ivy actually was where they went and tested this bomb and vaporized a freaking island. And that is the reason that the UFOs decided to be here, to say, we got to take the matches from the kids. Right? Because until then, they were trying to like not intervene too much, right? Free will and all. They have to respect free will. What, Mike?
You were just saying earlier about the Draconians had already offered us some toys to play with, which
Yep.
are all about greed and nothing sustainable that operates from love. I wonder if one of those technologies was the vaporization, because once again,
Yes.
I was really told during our 9/11 challenge that that building was there was a portion of that building that was completely vaporized.
Yes.
It was the
From an
proof was in
energy
the pudding,
directed.
right, Melissa? The
Yep.
proof
It's
was in
called
the I always bring up
it's
Melissa, but yeah, the proof was in the pudding, which
yeah,
to me, I'm saying it was in the 3-inch thick deep of cement.
and that's called a direct energy weapon, and it's a real thing, and
Yep.
we've had it since they vaporized that island. And yes, I strongly felt like in my meditation that it was given to our Air Force and our government, our military industrial complex, by the reptilian people. And this is what Eisenhower was actually trying to warn people about when he left office. I also got from all of this that Senator Kennedy, at the time, before he was president, he knew about Project Blue Book. He knew about Majestic 12. He knew about the reptilians, and he knew about all of the crazy crap that was going on. He also knew that the UFOs were mainly coming from the water. He actually reached out to Alan Hynek and the captain that worked with him in Project Blue Book and wanted them to investigate further what's going on with the UFOs under the ocean. And he got a lot of flack over that. And per Hynek, Alan Hynek's notes, Senator Kennedy told him that the CIA was so vehemently against him looking into this that they were willing to kill people for it, to shut him up. Further in my rabbit hole that I went, when you get 10 years down the road to Valiant Thor, our military already had his kryptonite, basically, thanks to the reptilians. They knew exactly how to render him from being able to use his telepathic abilities or his telekinesis or anything while he was in this certain room with this weird green liquid that was in a vial.
Oh.
It was literally his kryptonite that took his superpower away from him while he was in this skiff with these men. So I feel like there's a lot there to unpack just from Roswell that even connects Kennedy's assassination, perhaps. into all of this. I mean, we know there's speculation that it was because of UFOs. There's speculations because it had something to do with the Bay of Pigs. You know, there's all kinds of speculations on what the real reason was. And more than once, Kennedy had said that he was going to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces, right? And this is our whole thing with Q and Trump and the big vendetta, right, to end the CIA.
Yeah.
So what if it did all start with Roswell?
I got chills. Wow. I think you're onto something.
Yeah, Roswell lit the match.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's also why the alien beings are so hell-bent now on rendering all of our nukes unusable, because they know exactly what's at play here. They know that there's someone helping our military industrial complex or our alphabet agencies or whoever to take domination and control of the world with New World Order rather than this spiritual enlightenment and growth that's supposed to happen. But again, to refer back to Q stuff, I was assured that nothing can stop what's coming.
The white hats are in control.
That's
Yes.
right. The white hats are in control, but they're light beings, not human beings. Yeah. What else do I have here? I had something else.
I think the reason that they're so invested in us is because we're the last of it. Like if something happens to us, it's done and over with.
Yeah.
We're the last of the Mohicans, the last dodo.
Yeah,
And
I think it's something like that.
they can't interfere from the outside unless we're about to blow ourselves up. You know, that's why they're disarming the nukes. I think I said that right. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. And there have been several times that we were almost at war with like Russia and different countries because we were convinced that this was a military thing
Russia.
rather than a UFO thing. You know, we had a lot of generals and full bird colonels out there that were just had a hard on against Russia and really wanted to bomb them and start World War III, you know, right away, fresh out of World War II. They were ready to go after Russia. So luckily, and thankfully, it didn't come to that. But I also wanted to say with what Missy said about this being like the last opportunity, that again, that goes back to the cataclysmic events that could potentially happen on our planet. And it won't be from some nuclear war. It will be from this binary star. Because if we don't raise our vibration enough to make a difference, then we get the setback. We get the big reset, you know, just like every cyclical people that were in our place before, right? With Atlantis or Noah's flood or whatever. Like we're going to get the reset. And at that point, and I honestly feel like all of these fake illuminated people that want to call themselves the Illuminati are really kind of hoping that that's what happens if they're not able to control us in some other way with different false flag events or whatever, you know,
Right.
that's when that'll be their opportunity to jump in and take control at that point. But I don't feel like that's going to work.
It's not, because nothing can stop what's coming. Because we're
right.
here. Us
That's
starseeds.
right.
Yeah, girl.
And I think another reason why us experiencers always have like visions of floods, like in my case, it's floods, and I was walking a beach of dead whales, things like that, like what would cause a bunch of whales to die, and if you think about our Navy, using sonar and things like that to really screw up the natural
Yeah.
communication or livelihood of these animals. Um,
Yeah.
like you said, we get a little taste of what we may have been in the past. Like I believe I was a smaller giant running from a flood, and I jumped up on Stonehenge for survival. I don't know if I actually survived the entirety of it, but just for that moment, it was a quick vision. I survived, but that's maybe what we're getting is a little glimpse of, hey, if it doesn't work, we're just gonna have to rewipe it. That Etch a Sketch where you just shake it and start all over. I
Right.
love dating myself. So
Right. Um, I wanted to also add to this that in some of the research that I did, there was a nurse named that they called Judy. That wasn't her real name. That actually helped with the autopsy, the alleged Roswell autopsy, and she actually got really sick and died within weeks of the autopsy taking place. One of her friends has come forward and spoke about that. So I just want to make mention of that. And also, there was a local radio broadcaster who had taken a bunch of information from witnesses and was going to release it. And the day before he was to release it on the air, some men came to his office in a dark SUV and threatened him and told him that under Pentagon orders, if he does not cease and desist and decide not to air this, that they will pull his FCC license and pull him off the air. So he backed away from it and didn't tell their stories and allowed that whole narrative that the Pentagon ran with to be just, it's a weather balloon, nothing to see here, folks. Because at that point they had enough people that they were going to show that these witnesses are more credible than this bullshit story that they're trying to give to everybody right now. That this was not a weather balloon, right? Because they actually had there was a guy that had a whole barn full of these parts that he had went and collected. And somebody ended up throwing him under the bus and turning him in, and they went and confiscated every single piece from him. And Missy, how many trucks did it take? Do you remember? It was several trucks.
Yeah, I think it was like two or three, maybe.
So that's quite a bit of pieces and parts, y'all.
yeah,
Yeah.
If it took more than one pickup truck or something, and I don't even know what kind of trucks they used, but there were several trucks that had to be used to take all of the pieces that this farmer had. And then he was also threatened to keep quiet or else, right? And then something else that I learned about in my research part of it was something called the Secret Shadow Society. And that this is the men that run the world from behind the curtain, which made me think of Oz and Emerald City and the Golden Brick Road and all these things that me and Mike have been synchronistically talking about lately. But the three factions, there you go. There's the truck.
that's
Thank
a
you.
1947 military truck. That's more than likely what they packed. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. So it took 2 or 3 of them to get all this guy's parts out of his barn that he had collected. But this SSS or Secret Shadow Society is the CIA, the central banking system, and the secret societies of like the Skull and Bones and Illuminati and things like that. So I did learn that in my research part of it. And that there's still a ship east of Vegas over the water that is invisible that stays there at all times watching. Now, for the little bit of talk I did at the beginning about how we bend space and time, right? The space and time continuum. For any of the geeks out there that want to know, it's called the Kaluza-Klein theory. And this is that's the math to it. If I can get it in my screen good. There we go.
There it is.
Yep. Wow.
See if I can get it to, there we go. Straighten it up a little better. That's the math. for how to bend the space and time continuum and jump time, which was just a fun little geeky part of my research because I'm a nerd like that. I like that kind of nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I've got. And I feel like we could certainly take a vote on this. We don't have to just because I say, but I feel like we should continue to move forward on this UFO track a little further and look into the whole Valiant Thor, friendship, W56, whatever, Billy Meyer kind of thing, and see what kind of messages all of them were giving to people. Because I feel like there's something to that. There's some real meat and bones in that with our message that we got from Three Eye Atlas and the whole point of why the beings were here from Roswell. I feel like this matters to us and to humanity.
I think so too. I think that every major event that affects people is a piece of puzzle. And when we take all those pieces and we put it together, we get the full picture.
Amen. Yeah. Amen.
And I always felt
so.
that the Billy Myers event is tied to it all big time. I'm a big fan of the Billy Myers, just as I am with Stan Romanek.
Yeah, because Billy Myers' messages tell about impending doom and cataclysm if certain criteria isn't met by human beings' free will as well. And interestingly enough, Stan also was told about the solar event and these cataclysms from a binary star. And I didn't know that when we did Stan's story. I just kept digging further and uncovered that later on. So interesting how, those all have, because that's what I was shown and told too, right? I've always known that. And many abductees have been shown a potential cataclysm. They just can't remember anything past that. They're not, without regression, they're not remembering the rest of that narrative to where it's up to us that we're who we've been waiting for. And if we can raise our vibration, that we can change the outcome,
What's
and
interesting,
with,
before I woke up to all the corruption, I had repeatedly reoccurring dreams where the world was ending. I'm freaking out, destruction all around me. My phone's not working. I'm trying to call my parents. But the second I went, okay, hold on, wait a minute. Something's going on and I need to dig, the dream stopped. That was just wild.
Because it wasn't time for you to remember yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're a whole mirrored version of a sleeper cell, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where a lot of the starseeds and the volunteers did not truly wake up until Corona happened in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That was, I mean, technically it was 2019, but 2020 was where they really started waking up, which was kind of poetic because 2020 vision, right?
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020, all that.
Because the program. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I woke up to the corruption in 2018 and found Q. And then in 2020, I had the spiritual awakening that was like, oh, this is more than just politics.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got a break from that program, from the programming, in 2020. We got to stay home and have some thoughts to ourselves instead of waking up and doing the, was it Bill Murray's Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah. Doing the same old grind every day. Yeah.
Ralph,
so I want to encourage everyone listening to remember to continue to unplug. Pretend like it's COVID-19 all over again for a minute, right? Unplug from everything and just be with you. Be in your own thoughts, be in nature, be still in your room, wherever you can be. Just unplug from everything for a minute and just be, right?
Yeah.
Because we need that. We need that in order to raise our vibration to the level that is necessary so that we can get through this. And interestingly enough, I was just shown that the energy coming in for this solar event, the solar flash, is very similar to the energy beam that beams us up. If the vibration isn't matching when it happens, you're going to be changed in some ways. You're not going to be the same, the same you, right? There's going to be like pieces of you missing, so to speak. Not like your arm will be gone or something, but right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but I was just shown that it's going to be very similar to that. Maybe they'll go mad. Einstein writes, actually. Einstein.
Yeah.
It's interesting that he's came up in this because I have always followed his work, because when I first started looking for evidence out there, scientific evidence of what I was always shown and I thought I knew, I turned to the intelligent scientists first. And Einstein wrote about us traveling through the dark rift of the Milky Way, and that when we're in the dark rift, that it would force merge our right and left hemisphere of our brain. And we would all know then that we're psychic on some level or another. And that if you weren't mentally prepared for that, it would make you go mad, absolutely mad, because you would just start freaking the hell out over what you're experiencing, right? If you're hearing somebody else's thoughts, or if you're seeing things that you didn't normally know that you could see, right?
Yeah.
Like dead people or something, you're going to start freaking the hell out. You're going to lose your mind.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a lot like that, right?
Yeah.
Because we are in, I don't know if anybody knows, but like we are in the dark rift of the Milky Way now. We entered it in 2012, but we're really in the soup of it now. We're really in that dark matter that Einstein calls spooky matter. We're in it, and it's bombarding our planet. This is cosmic energy coming in. It's not just our sun. Our sun is freaking out because it's in the soup of that cosmic energy. So everything, it's a domino effect. Everything's being affected. So that's interesting that they showed me that comparison. Very interesting.
Oh yeah.
All the more reason to raise our vibration, right?
Amen. Absolutely.
Yeah. You don't want to like
Einstein,
not have an arm.
I need both my arms.
Einstein
Make
was
it
part of
happen.
Einstein was part of the Manhattan Project, and he was also employed by the Navy at a certain point. But I have a feeling that, you're someone that's that bright is going to be used as much as they possibly can use this person, and he tried to always keep the distance,
Yeah.
but couldn't help but to do some work, and the Navy is like, that's the top of the secrets right there.
Yeah, definitely. Navy, well, and the Air Force too, because the Air Force had their own thing going on. That's who actually ran Project Blue Book, was the Air Force.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Project Blue Book was underneath of the Air Force. And then MJ-12 was created underneath of somebody else, another branch, maybe the Navy. I don't really know for sure. And everybody kept their stuff separate and compartmentalized because they didn't want to share the damn secrets they had even with our own people.
Yeah.
Like, how are we ever supposed to grow and learn anything if you can't even share within your own military? And that's exactly what Eisenhower was talking about with the military industrial complex, because it's so compartmentalized
Compartment, yeah.
that nobody knows what the other one's doing. It's like it's what's
Mafia.
that game called with the cups and the ball? Like a shuffle around game.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called, but yeah.
The magicians use that game, right? It's like some kind of shuffle. It's like that, right? You never know who's got the ball.
Yeah.
And if
Exactly.
all of them are making weapons and shit from different stuff, then we don't even know if it's our weapons or somebody else's. And we even have people that are like admirals that have testified in the UFO Congress lately, saying that he was an oceanographer and an admiral, right? And something happened in the ocean, some incident, and his superior put a bulletin out to all of the different admirals and was like, "Hey boys, did this belong to any of you, or is this an unknown?"
Right.
And then like 2 days later, retracted the email from everybody. And so the admiral was like, "It must have been somebody else's weapon that we just don't know about. We're not privy to." I'm like, what kind of bullshit is that? Right? Like all of them should be talking.
Yeah.
Shell game. It just came to me. It's called the shell
Oh,
game.
okay. Huh?
But they should all be talking and sharing this information,
Yeah.
right? If we're going
Trying
to
to
be
figure
a
shit
true
out.
mighty military superpower, everybody needs to be talking to each other.
Nobody wants to give up their power.
Yeah. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of that has to do with the CIA, honestly. And for me, in my opinion, the CIA is nothing but a glamorized mob that has more legal right to be a mob.
Yep.
That's my opinion. And everything I have seen that they do so far just makes them look like a bunch of thugs and bullies.
Yep.
I have no respect for the CIA. None.
Not even a little bit. No, I'm with you on that.
And the NSA and the FBI are pushing their luck with me too, because the NSA is who was harassing me. So I can't
Yeah.
say that was CIA because that was NSA for sure.
Yeah.
So they're all on my bucket list of bullshit. That's how I think about it. That's my 2 cents worth.
Absolutely.
Ain't none of them getting no props from me. Not even with Kash Patel being the leader of the FBI right now. I still don't trust them. I don't trust nothing they're doing.
Nope.
And we ain't going to get nowhere in this country if we can't trust our people that are in high positions and all of the people underneath of them that are supposed to be subordinate, right?
Yep.
It's exhausting. I told Missy the other night, I'm like, from a starseed perspective, I can kind of understand how the cataclysm might just be necessary. Just
I feel you.
wipe it out. There's so much
Yeah.
everywhere. Like, how do we ever get control of it again?
Yeah.
That's got to be for somebody way smarter than me, because I can't wrap my mind around it. For me, it just feels like too much. It feels overwhelming. So I'm just going to trust that nothing could stop what's coming.
That's right. God
And not
plan,
worry about
God
the how
wins.
to, how it happens, right?
Yes.
Because that's what I teach my people anyway, that you have to walk in faith and not worry about how you get from point A to point B. Just know that you're there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
a little off the subject, but you know how it felt like we were getting our country back, that God was coming into the picture again and all this, and now we got Antifa and riots full blown everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So all the good that was coming, they're trying to cancel it all out.
Yeah.
How are we
They're
ever going
trying
to get
to.
anywhere if we can't come together and be one?
Yeah.
Well, more and more people are recognizing the evil. Like every day I come home from work and my parents are watching something where it was a I can't talk, a Democrat or liberal or whatever saying, I no longer associate with this. This is not right. More and more people are they're seeing it. And, and
Yeah.
one of the Q posts saying that, sometimes you have to show people the truth, not tell
Yeah.
them. So,
You
I
got to
mean,
let them see it.
I feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Everybody's from Missouri. They're from the show me state.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's getting, and like the crazy is loud. The dark is loud.
Ooh,
We just
it
got to
is.
get louder.
Yeah.
Wow.
Michael.
I think we're doing it.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm always reminded how far we really are.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
I'm always reminded. It's just disgusting. It makes my stomach turn. It's cringy. It's grungy. Whatever.
Yeah.
There's so many people that fell for this. You know, there's a program out there. Like I was telling Kelly the other day. There's a program out there to hate this man, and in the very beginning, I was right on there with that program. I remember telling my wife, I go, "Oh my God, after he got the presidency, I was like, this nation has turned into a reality show."
Yeah,
And I remember even
which is ironic.
saying something online, like I was with everyone else, like, yeah, because it's Trump, I did it one time. And then all of a sudden, I was getting turned on about everything that he did that was like against the grain. And I was looking at, I also got turned on by how everyone hated him. And then I was like, this is the program, man. And then I started finding
Yeah.
friends, and we were secretly going, I know, I like him too. I love him too. I love what he's doing. And then you see what's happening. And then Q came along, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh my God. And then if you're patient and hang in there, which I wasn't, because I reached a point where I was embarrassed, and I'm always quiet. Just like what was it? Jennifer just said, like the dark is loud, right? And
yeah,
I'm always quiet. I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue. I'll just disappear into the background. If I want to disappear, I'll just disappear.
yeah.
And so I kind of
Conservative
disappeared.
is a good word for us.
Yeah.
And then if I would have hung in there and just been patient, holy shit, how could you not see it? But they still don't see it. A lot of people still
No.
I
don't
know.
see it. They're still talking about the felon. I want to throw up my
Yeah,
mouth when I hear people say that. Or, he's a molester or whatever. It's like, God damn, you are so fucking
they
brainwashed, dude.
Yep.
they had to do it that way. The bad guys had to do it that way. They couldn't have another Kennedy, right?
Yep.
They couldn't have another Kennedy. And if they hadn't have tried to tarnish him so bad and rip him apart, he'd have been just like another Kennedy. Because I mean, look at the way we all look at him. We know that he is our savior for America, right?
Yeah.
And then the world. And I don't mean like in a religious sense. I just
No.
mean he knows how to play the game,
Yeah, he's not a
and he's a
politician.
hell of a chess player,
Yeah.
and he knows how to win.
He's a businessman, and that's what we needed right now.
That's
Yeah, because
exactly
he knows his enemy.
when I first heard about it, I was at work on the loading dock at Dillard's, and I went, I'm like stalking, and I'm like, wait, what? What? Trump's running for president? What? Are we being
I
punked?
know.
Where's
The
Ashton
reality
Kutcher?
show guy.
Yeah. And then I stopped for a minute and I went, well, he's a businessman. Maybe our country ought to be run like a business. Let's give it
Yeah,
a shot, because none of these
he's
other
our
fucks
Ross
are doing
Perot.
anything for us, and I was on board from the
I didn't
beginning.
realize how much money we were losing, with all these other countries. I was like, what the
Yeah.
hell? Who said that was okay?
Really.
Yeah.
No wonder we're in the mess we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. But it's funny. It's the irony is laughable that our president is going to go down in history as the greatest president we've had,
Yeah.
maybe for a very long time, right?
Did you see the
And
lineup? The lineup behind him looks pretty good.
yeah, and he was a reality show kind of guy, and now we're living in a fucking reality show.
You're
So
fired.
Yeah.
what is the irony there, right? I
Yeah.
love it.
You are
I
fired.
love
Absolutely.
it. You're fired. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I'm like, tell him, Trump, you're fired, and you're fired, and you're
Yeah.
fired.
Keep going.
Like your reality show made you the man we need for this job. Fire them
Yep.
all.
Right.
Except for a couple, because I really like a couple of them.
Yeah.
I love that Tim Burchett from Tennessee. Old country. What is he a senator? Is he a senator, Missy?
I don't know. I don't.
Congressman?
Congressman? Something.
yeah.
Tim
Let me
Burchett.
see.
He's the one that believes in the UFOs.
Yeah, he's a congressman.
Yeah.
Tim Burchett. Let's see here.
I love him. Yeah, he just blabbed it out the other day to some media
He's
people
a-
that were following him around and said, them UFOs all come from the water.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I love this man. I love
That's
him.
awesome.
So is that Timothy Floyd Burchett is an American politician who is the U.S. representative for Tennessee, 2nd Congressional District, based in
That's him.
Knoxville, serving since 2019.
Knoxville, Tennessee. Come on.
Come on, what? Come on. Press
Yeehaw.
that button. Yeehaw.
Yeah, I love him. He just blabbed it right out the other day. Them UFOs come from the water. I was like,
Yeah,
you tell
he was saying some interesting stuff. He was part of the he was part of the Congress UFO
him.
stuff.
Yes, the UFO
He was the
hearing
one
stuff.
saying that they could very well have been here, and he said "been"
Been
like
here for
"been here."
thousands of
Yeah,
years. Yeah, been
and they could
here.
be,
Wow.
They've
and they could
been
very well,
here.
just like you said, be coming from the Wawa.
Yep,
Watch the
same from the
water.
Wawa.
Here we
Watch
go.
Watch
the
the water.
Wawa. Watch the Wawa.
Watch the Wawa.
And for all of our deaf people, it's water. Watch the water. Watch the water.
Yeah, and see, we've been told all our lives that it's H2O, when in fact it's H3O, and H3O is a whole nother ball of wax. I don't know if
That's
y'all
right.
dove into that yet, but
I've heard
That's
of
a
it.
that's a
Yeah.
whole
it
nother
goes,
topic. But
yeah,
yeah.
okay, all right. I'll slow my roll
Okay.
then.
Okay. All right. I'm not saying you can't talk about it. I'm just saying we could
I,
really do like we could do, I could literally do a whole show on that. You're talking to a nerd.
uh-huh. I started to get a little hitch in my
You're
jet
talking my
along there.
language now. You're talking my language. Come on. I'm the one that wrote down the little mathematical thing, right?
Oh yeah.
To fold space and time.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm all about science. I love science.
And
And
you
I'm
you
like a
told you told
freaking
the
sponge.
skin you recommended that the during the Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch that they use 3 beams.
They were already using 3 beams. I told them they needed to tune their beams to
Oh, to the
1.6 hertz.
okay, that's right. Yeah.
They were using the wrong frequency.
And that was the best
Well,
evidence that they ended up catching.
Yeah,
y'all talked about that on a
it opened a
Thursday,
portal.
right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
totally opened a portal.
I
It
watched
worked.
that. That was freaking amazing. Like, that was
Yeah.
so fucking cool.
I recommend everybody go watch that particular, I don't remember what episode it was on Skinwalker
Oh,
Ranch, where they have the imagery from like the grid of the portal opening up and all of that. It's so freaking cool. It's so cool to see it in like all of the great.
I feel like it was the 4th or 5th episode of the season.
Was
Let me
it the
see.
second season?
Okay, let's see.
I feel
Uh,
like it was the second season.
well, I recommend everybody go back and watch every single Thursday that y'all do, which I'll be watching the most recent one
Right
tonight.
on.
I love it. I love
Right
it.
on.
Thank you
We
for that.
do good work.
Oh, darling, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
you do.
darling. You're such a good sport. She's always watching our stuff. She's so good.
Yeah.
And does he
Yeah.
always make you laugh? Because he always makes me laugh.
Yes. Yes. The
I mean, he
energy
never
when you
fails.
putting the two of y'all together, the energy y'all put off together is just intoxicating. It's great.
Yeah, they feed
Yeah.
off each other.
Yeah, it's
It's because we're
therapeutical.
both silly.
I need my Thursdays.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
We
I need your
we get to
Thursday.
run. We get to run with our childlike wonder.
Yes,
She said, "I need your Thursdays."
I do. I just hadn't had a
Drink it
chance
up,
to
girl.
watch this week.
Yeah,
Girl,
you thirsty?
I
Oh,
plan
what? You
on it.
thirsty? Oh, you thirsty?
I plan.
Thirsty for
I
Thursday?
plan.
Drink it up.
I
You thirsty
plan.
for some knowledge?
Now, what was this Thor thing we're going to do next week?
Okay,
Uh,
so
Billy and what was the other one? The
Oh, I
Billy
got Billy
Meyer,
Myers.
club.
the friendship group, also known
Oh,
as the W56.
friendship
Is that what
group.
their name is? Yeah,
Mm,
W56 group. They were in Italy, and Valiant Thor.
Wow. Yeah. Thor. Okay.
Oh
I do
yeah.
have to
Okay.
work next Sunday, but I got all week to research and I can report it and send it to you, your messenger this time.
Okay,
Season
yeah, our
season
main.
3. Sorry, I got excited.
It was it season 3.
Season 3, episode 5.
Thank you
I'm
very
writing
much,
that down too.
Michael. Season 3, episode 5.
Yep. The
Kelly
Secret
And
of
that was
Robinson
Skinwalker Ranch.
did that shit. I'm
Skinwalker
the one that
Ranch.
told him.
Experiments Open Portal. That's got to be the one.
Yep, that's it. It's what is the name of the official name of the show?
Um, It just says season 3, episode 5, experiments open portal, full episode, the secret of Skinwalker Ranch, UFO.
The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. That's what
Yeah,
it's
the
called.
secret of Skinwalker
I knew
Ranch.
there
Yep.
was like a word in front of it. I just couldn't remember what it was. But our main goal for next week's, our target goal for next week's deep dive is the connection between the messages that all of them were giving to people.
Okay.
We'll get into the meat and potatoes of it.
Mm,
I'm hungry. Need some
I'm
meat and
hangry.
potatoes.
Hangry, girl.
Hangry. I'm not hangry yet. When I'm hangry, somebody needs to give me a Snickers bar.
She thinks she's a linebacker when she's angry.
I seriously have low blood sugar, so I eat every 2 or 3 hours to keep my blood sugar levels up, right? Because I'm the opposite of diabetics. If I don't keep something in my system, my sugar plummets. And yeah, I will straight fork a person to get to some food. I need to get my food.
Yeah,
No.
her little ass can run my big ass over.
You ain't got to tell me twice to go eat.
Yeah, just don't call me late. Don't call me late.
Yep. That's all right. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you again next week for more Beyond the Veil.
So.
Peace.
Peace.